at this without the everything showing. I'll hide the helpers and hide the bones. And here's our completed rig at this level. The other thing I need to do, and I just completely forgot, was that we need to put the layer of controls in there on each point helper. So that'll actually happen next, and then we can come back and we can have a look at what I've done with the completed skinning on it. So I'll go and we'll do the script for all the controls, all the finite level controls. But this is now really nice and simple for the animators to grab a hold of. Just a few control points tacked around the character's face. I'll lock out some axes so they only work on certain axes. Like this one shouldn't be able to be pulled out on the Y. Maybe we could actually have that, because you can actually jut your jaw out. So we could actually hook up the position of the jaw to pull out a little bit based on the pulling of this out, as well as pushing it in. Or we could stretch the joint in some, have it a typical stretchy joint, which really isn't any different than just sort of moving it out, moving the end joint out. So we can actually have quite a few things going on, to make it a finer control level of everything. Quite happy the way this has turned out. It's got a really nice flow to it on this face. This face lends well to this sort of setup, because it's sort of very soft, has a lot of fatty tissue on it to begin with, and really needs to have lots of expression. So I have the feeling that we'll be able to get lots of expression out of this character, and be able to get a really, really nice look to it. Before I start the addition of the fine level controls, just wanted to show you where I was at with the skinning. I've done a fair amount of little tweaks to it just to get little things working properly. One of them was the actual jaw. I've actually set that up so it all slides out now and can be slid in and out. That was actually relatively simple to do. All I've done is, you can see that the at this end of the jaw, the actual point helpers that we put in there for sort of spreading out the rotation of the jaw, I've wired in the X, which points down the length of this, into the Z out of this control, and same with the bone, and done it to just different values. So now I can pull the whole thing out, sort of played with the values, and that got me a nice setup for being able to get the jaw to go in and out. So that works quite well. I've also worked a fair amount on the skinning, playing with that a lot, and getting some nicer skinning going. So I'm getting some pulling in the right spots that shouldn't have been moving before aren't moving now that I've locked down. The brows aren't pulling on the eyelids, and you can see that it's getting a nice, quite a nice result there. Just hide off everything, and getting the results from the eyelids that we're looking for, pretty much. Corners of the mouth. A couple other changes I've made just really quickly on it. I noticed that when I was pulling up the this control straight up and down, or sorry, down on this one, is that eventually I was running into the teeth, now that I have the teeth unhidden. So another little change I made is that I took this control here, this point helper, wired the Z out onto the Y down, so you can see when it starts going down, it starts pulling it out, and that keeps it out over top of the teeth. And when I go in, I stop pushing it in, and it just stays where it is and folds up. I've even done the same with these two on either side. It's the same thing when you pull this down. These ones get pulled out just a little bit, I think about a 0.3. And I've done the same thing on the bottom down here, where when you pull this up, now I can show it probably better in the side view of the character. You can see that the bottom lip actually starts getting pushed out to make sure it clears the teeth, but it doesn't go in when I go down, and so it automatically is trying to avoid them. Probably could do the same thing in a couple other spots. You'll see when you grab the corner of the mouth and pull it up and down, you'll see you start to run into the teeth. You can see the geo starting to show up. It doesn't, it isn't really nice, but you can easily just pull out the controls. But if you wanted to do a little bit of automation to it, you could get some of the intermediary points to automatically pull out a little bit when this goes up, so it avoids that sort of thing. So you could go around and sort of tweak that. This is kind of really the same sort of level of tweaking. And again, sorry, you can see it as I go down here. You can see the upper one going in. So it's going to run into it as well when I go in. So again, we could have it automatically push out a little bit. This is the same level of tweaking as just like when we were dealing with morph targets and having to create corrective targets for certain poses so that we didn't run into the teeth. And this is the same thing. We just need to go around and hook up some more wire parameters. That was done relatively easily. What I did was, I just show you this one here into our navigation track view that I've set up. What I did is in one of the new slots, one of the available slots, I put in a position XYZ controller so I could just wire the Z axis out to the Z axis out on the control in this case, and just put in another if statement, basically saying if the Y is in this case less than, so it's going down, then I need the negative value of that to go out in the positive Z. So pump in the negative Y axis times 0.5 to slow this down a little bit so it doesn't go as fast, and then 0 on the way up. So you can just go around and just set that up a little bit, just tweak it up to make it work. This is again one of those things that just has to happen on a rig like this. If you're going to get it to work properly and nicely, you need the time to actually set it up. You know, it just takes tweaking and playing to get it all working exactly the way you expect it to. Right now it's actually working quite nice. So next step, we're going to go in and put in that finite control. We're going to write a script to do that.